Hello, my zebras and spoonies. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me today. I am glad that you are here. So, the first thing that I have to mention before I really get into anything else is that I broke my headphones. And it's really annoying because they don't really sit on my head right now. And, well, on this side, there's some tape going on. But, yeah. So, I just ignore the weirdness that is my headphones, and it's probably going to be a feature in videos for a while because, well, it's going to be a while before I can afford to get a new set of headphones that sit on my head proper. And in that entire time, it's going to drive me absolutely bonkers. But here we are. So, yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out with me today. I'm going to be talking about the myth that people with autism are incapable of feeling emotions. I also want to talk about why I think the myth exists and get into some of my personal experiences in context of this. So, when you go out and look on the internet for information about autism, you are absolutely going to find articles that tell you that us autistics are not capable of having normal human emotions, that we feel nothing, or that we feel less than what normal people feel. The first thing to say about this is that it is absolutely wrong. I am autistic and I feel emotions. Autistics are completely capable of feeling emotion. In fact, many of them are diagnosed with ADHD, like myself, which is a disorder that is known for having emotions that are more intense than a neurotypical response. So the difference isn't that we don't feel. The difference is in the way that we express those emotions. It's in our communication. So when neurotypicals are having a feeling, they have a particular way of expressing that emotion. Emotion expression includes your facial expressions, your body language, the words you use, your tone of voice, even the way that you choose to interact with others. And all of this lumped together is called paralanguage. So it's all that nonverbal stuff that goes into communication. And when a neurotypical person observes a neurodivergent person, they don't see the emotional expression that they are expecting to see. So oftentimes, autistic individuals are viewed as having a flat affect. And this means that a neurotypical person looks at an autistic person's facial expression and they don't see emotion there. It's not that an autistic person isn't having emotion, just that they're not being seen by the neurotypical gaze. And this is because there are those who are neurotypical and those who are neurodivergent are using different methods to express their emotions. They have a different paralanguage. And this is why it can be so difficult for people in the different groups to communicate with each other. So, I personally have never been able to read the paralanguage of neurotypical people. Um, that's all that nonverbal part of communicating with others. And it's believed that about 80% of communication happens through this nonverbal communication. When I'm engaging with neurotypicals, it feels like I am dancing to a music that I can't hear. And the only possible way for me to dance with these people is to mimic what I'm seeing them do, mimic what others in the group are doing. Because it's not possible for me to make my movements match a music that I can't hear. But my experience with other neurodivergents is completely different. I feel that it's easy to understand other neurodivergents and that they make complete sense to me. And this is because they are speaking the same language as me, because that's what it comes down to. It is a difference of paralanguage. So, how do you decide if someone is angry at you or if they're being sarcastic? It's by reading the paralanguage. You can't get this usually from what they actually say because people don't generally just say this. They're not likely to say, I'm being sarcastic. But when they're speaking a different paralanguage with you, it becomes difficult, if not completely impossible, to read those cues that tell you 80% of what they're saying without words. Things like are they excited or bored by what you're talking about? So, when humans communicate with each other, we weave our emotional state of being into that communication through our paralanguage. The tone of our voice changes based on how we're feeling. Our level of confidence will determine how much eye contact we're comfortable making. How excited we are will dictate how much our body moves while we speak. This is all a fundamental part of communicating with other humans. And it is this paralanguage that allows you to understand the emotional states of those people that you are communicating with. It is a rare thing that someone declares how they're feeling. They're not going to be like, I'm angry right now. Yeah, people are generally pretty good at understanding the emotional states of others by reading the paralanguage that they're presenting. So, how many verbal languages are there in the world? Honestly, I have no idea, but there are a lot. There are many, especially if you start including all the dialects within a language. If someone only speaks French, meets someone who only speaks German, they're going to have a difficult time understanding each other because they're not speaking the same language. This is the same for paralanguages. I mean, do we honestly believe that there are hundreds of ways for verbally communicating hundreds of different verbal languages, but that there is only one paralanguage that is spoken universally across the globe by all of the people? That doesn't make sense. The paralanguage of someone who is raised in Italy will be different than the paralanguage than someone who is raised in China. Is it that difficult to also then imagine that there is another paralanguage for those who are neurodivergent? If we consider the difficulties of understanding from the lens of not knowing the same language, rather than from one group having a disorder or a deficiency of human emotion, we open the door for many possibilities. The first thing to keep in mind is that learning languages is known to be very difficult. Because of this, perhaps we shouldn't expect that everyone who is neurodivergent is able to readily learn another language in order to better communicate with the neurotypical group. This would also suggest that, like speaking any language, speaking within the context of another paralanguage is not wrong, but rather it's just different. Just like it's not wrong if you speak English instead of Russian, it's just different. It also suggests that what is in order is translation. If a neurotypical and a neurodivergent had someone or a program to translate the paralanguage for them, I think it would become clear that they're not unlike any group of people that are communicating in another language. We are not incapable of having emotions. Those who are neurotypical are just incapable of understanding the paralanguage that we're expressing those emotions in. And that's why we're often perceived as not having them. So that I think is where this myth comes from and why many times people who are autistic are accused of not having emotions or being unfeeling. So that's about it for my rambling today. Thanks for coming and spending time with me. If you like the video, please click the like button. It does help. And until we talk again, you guys take care of yourselves. Bye.